The manhwa starts by showing us a man who says that his name is Kim Jang-il, an ordinary graduate school student in Korea. At least that's what he used to be. But he decides that yapping about the game's story has no meaning because it's something that's been heard hundreds of times, but the problem currently is something much different. A man then enters, calling out towards him, and we are introduced to his aide, Zephyrus, who is level 15. I guess since it's a game world, they all have levels. He tells Kratos that the preparations for war have been completed. As we see a whole army of demons lying in wait, one of them says that they're going to end their starvation with today's great invasion, and he has an edgy name called the Prince Who Drinks Blood. He is level 534, and his name is Asurit. There's also a woman who is named Sergei, who is level 531, with the title of Cold Monarch. There's the Archduke of Fog, Hardik, level 555, as well as the Black Boulder tyrant named Bale, who is level 539. As they all start cheering on both Kratos and Zephyrus, Kratos yells, telling them all to listen up. They all start to lock in, and he explains to us that this war must be stopped at all cost. But he's about to give them his first official order, and Bro is building up the tension by taking his words extremely slowly, making sure that everybody is paying attention. But of course they don't know what's about to come next, as he tells them their plan is to actually stop the attack and start farming instead. They all just kind of stare at him for a second, and yell saying that shit is absurd. But he screams back, while in reality he is terrified. It works though, because it causes them all to tense up, but he explains that if they start this war, it would at low-key be the end of them. We see a man grabbing the edge of a coffin, and a status window appears saying that he has started his 20th playthrough. He slowly rises up, and we see a playable character named Aged Kimchi who is level 9990. Kratos explains that he will definitely die by this man's hands. Lore class is in session. He became a graduate student in a farming course within Korea University in hopes of becoming a rich farmer. He was pretty clever, so he became the ace of his course in no time. Being the top graduate student meant that he was constantly doing favors for others, such as helping them write their theses, doing projects for them, as well as just physical labor. He was pretty much just their slave, and was taken advantage of for labor every day. He low-key thought he was living in hell, asking why he's doing all the work when the professors are getting the credit. He had zero dopamine left, so he was on the verge of going pretty crazy. The only way for him to get that dopamine back was to play games, a game that was super difficult and very hard to level up in. No player had cleared this game for the 19th time, but he says he wanted to feel a sense of achievement so badly that he played the game without sleeping at all. In Seoul, he became the first person to clear the Paladin of Blood for the 19th time. As we see the Demon King, Kratos, being defeated. Dark Souls vibes. He was just sitting there so happy, saying that he's the strongest in the world, but explains that the 20th playthrough will be of an insanely hellish difficulty, and he should level up first before trying. So he grinded his character up to level 9990. He says that he's only 9 levels away from the max, and he wonders how many years he spent of his life on this game, but he decided that it was time to see it through with the 20th playthrough. He clicked the button, but all of a sudden his screen was very bright, and he felt a pulling sensation as his soul itself was yanked out of his body, flying straight into the screen. When he opened his eyes, he was flying through the sky, straight down towards the ground. He tells himself to calm down since he's clever, but he's low-key freaking out. He says that he's blue, which means this is his soul, and that if he falls he won't die. He spots a familiar place, which is the Tower of Life, saying that this means he's entered the game. He then spots the Tomb of the Paladin, and he says that for him to possess his character, Aged Kimchi, which is almost max level, would mean that he's invincible, and he's going to be living life on easy mode. As he flies in, he realizes that he's dressed up like a magical girl, and he doesn't want to be seen wearing that shit. His soul then took a different course, and he wonders where he's going now. It was none other than the body of the Demon King, and that is how we got to where we are now. Kratos says the shit is driving him nuts, and if he hadn't had that stupid thought, after looking at Aged Kimchi, he would have become the most overpowered character. It then jumps to Zephyrus walking down the hall. He overhears the people we introduced earlier talking about how Kratos has gotten weaker, and that's why he got scared and stopped their attack. They continue, about how they should join hands together and cut his head off, and share authority of the throne. Hardik has the thought of what if he didn't get weaker, and if that is the case then 2 out of the 4 of them will definitely die. Sergei says that if a Surut offers to be their shield, they'll give it a try. Ball's head is empty, bro just hungry. A Surut says that if he has evidence that he has gotten weaker, maybe they'll change their mind. They all agree that if that's the case, they'll kill him, except Bale of course. Bro head empty. Zephyrus overhears their plan, then reports back to Kratos, saying that the morale of their army has completely plummeted. There have been more cases of people attacking and devouring each other internally, and some also left the land of the demons without notice. And he informs him that the 4 great demon generals are enraged, saying that he's gotten weaker, and are planning to work together to cut his head off. Kratos says if they attack him together, he's definitely cooked, but if he shows them that he's weak, it'll be GG too. He then starts to wonder about aged kimchi, saying that since he didn't possess it, maybe it's just a corpse, and that charging into the human world could be a better choice here. But on cue, Zephyrus says that they filmed a video of the tomb of the paladin, and it was sent by General Ogamiya. On the orb, we see aged kimchi beating the absolute shit out of somebody, and even slowly reaching his hands forward, gouging out their eyes. As they start screaming, Kratos looks horrified, and aged kimchi holds up the recording device while glaring at it. Kratos says that he definitely does not want to meet aged kimchi at all, and he must stay in this place no matter what happens. At this rate, he'll either appear weak or choose to surrender, and the 4 great demon generals will kill him. But if he charges into the human world, aged kimchi will kill him instead. He wonders why the hell he had to come into this game world, and he can't even find happiness, but that the only way to resolve this would be to make sure that he gave the demons food and calmed them down. As he stands up, Zephyrus asks where he's going, so he tells him he's going to look at some lands for farming, and Zephyrus hits him with a very confused what. Kratos is also confused on why this is weird, and Zephyrus says that for him to show manners like this is pretty strange, as he usually wouldn't even listen to his reply, and that this is gross, and he should never do that again. Kratos wonders what's wrong with this guy, and if he's always just been playing such a weird character. Zephyrus appeared just once before the battle with the Demon King without any explanation, but that actually made him quite a popular character, as he would always tell the paladin to go back, as the Demon Lord no longer wishes to fight, only for him to get straight up one-shotted regardless of what attack is used, because he's just level 15. And his final words are him begging Kratos for forgiveness for being too weak to protect him. And it made the players think that he was very loyal to the Demon Lord or disrespected him. As he keeps yapping off Kratos' ear, Kratos says that he doesn't care what others think about him, he just finds him annoying. Zephyrus asks if he's really trying to farm in the land of the demons, saying that he didn't know his memory was the shit. Kratos reminds him that he's the Demon Lord, telling him not to push it, but Zephyrus says that he thinks he'll continue, and Kratos wonders why he's not scared. As they get to an open area, Zephyrus reminds him that both the former Demon Lords and even himself have already tried farming in this land. With the harsh and extreme temperature differences, he should be well aware that nothing grows here. Kratos says he knows that this is called the Land of Death, but with his current abilities, it is definitely possible to save this land. While he got really tired of farming, he needs to survive first and foremost. He grabs down, picking up a handful of the dirt, and what the hell, bro is eating it. Zephyrus says that it seems as if the Demon Lords become a weirdo who's eating dirt, and Kratos tells him to stop writing that down. Zephyrus says that he's just performing his duties, which is him recording the Demon Lord's chronicles, and that the Demon Lord's ability to remember things sure has gone downhill. Kratos says this dude's a real pain in the ass, and in any case here, the ground here definitely has no nutrients, and that nitrogen is an element that is absolutely necessary for the growth of plants. Plants are unable to make use of the nitrogen in the air by themselves, even though it makes up 78% of the atmosphere, because the atoms form solid triple bonds, making it nearly impossible for them to undergo chemical reaction. Thus, humanity developed the nitrogen fixation process through chemical engineering, leading to a huge increase in food production, and for him to do that here would be impossible, as there's nothing to be used as the foundation for farming. That means that he needs to make use of the nitrogen fixation mechanism in nature itself, which is none other than lightning. Using its high voltage, nitrogen is oxidized into nitrate, it then mixes with rainwater and gets absorbed into the soil, and the main technique of the Demon Lord happens to be perfect for this. Thanks for the chemistry lesson. As we see him scratch his hand drawing blood, it falls towards the ground and shocks the player, killing them, as it's called Bloody Strike. It explodes both lightning and moisture at the same time, and it's a technique made for creating fertile soil. Kratos tells Zephyrus to stand back, and he starts to scratch his hand to draw blood, but screams instead because that shit hurts, and he says that there's no way he does this every time. And when he turns around, he realizes something, as the 4 great generals are watching him, saying that he's definitely gotten weaker. Of course, besides Bale, Bro is hitting the Moai emoji. Kratos starts to panic, and Zephyrus says he's gotten weaker. Kratos says he's definitely an assassin, and his plan is to provoke him to kill him, and that this is better than dying, so he scratches his hand, committing to the technique, and he yells it out after throwing his blood onto the ground, saying bloody strike. As his blood flows through the air, about to come into contact with the ground, he just continues bleeding, then starts screaming while grabbing onto his hand and hopping around. The 4 great generals then approach him, asking if he's starting to feel a little unwell, and he realizes this is going to be awful. It then jumps to aged Kimchi, staring off into the distance, saying that it's faint, but he has memories of his previous life. He's lived this life more than 10 times, and he was headed for the Demon King, and he moved because of the summon of duty that led him here, but now it's gone, and it no longer tells him what to do, and he wonders what exactly he's meant to live for currently. As he's no longer a playable character, he's an NPC. Feeling lost, he then heads away from where the Demon King's land is. Maybe Bro can have the world's most op bodyguard. As he starts getting closer, Asurat says that surely he knows the rules of the demons and that the strongest is the Demon Lord. Kratos says each one of these dudes are scary because they're hella strong and he can't even use his skill, and he wonders if this is the end for him. As he starts shaking out of pure fear, Asurat mistakes it as pressure, saying that the fight hasn't even started but he's already gathering his strength to the point that his body is trembling. He sweats a little nervously but smirks, asking if he really can defeat the 4 of them in his current state. But when he turns around, he sees the rest actually already hidden behind the tree again, and he wonders what the hell is wrong with them. But they're just waiting to see if the fight is remotely possible to them or not. Asurat starts sweating nervously, saying that they sure are evil bastards, and of course, they're demons, so they are evil. Zephyrus then raises his hand. He starts to livestream it to all of the demon world, saying that based on the long-time tradition of the demons, all fights are to the death and there's no giving up. Asurat says that he shouldn't get scared and he'll win this as long as he is weakened. But Kratos is panicking, wondering what to do about this. He tested his strength, since the Demon Lord should be very strong, but he's not that strong. At least in the term of being a Demon Lord. Asurat then raises his arm sword thingy back. Kratos says he's seen this movement in the game and it's either a thrust or a slash, but there's no way that he can dodge something like this. But he does exactly that and surprises himself, asking how he did this. He then looks at Asurat's feet, saying that since his left foot is pointing outwards, it means that he's going to use a thrust. It's the exact same as the motion inside the game. As Asurat distances himself once more, Hardik and Sergei start talking amongst themselves, and he wonders why Kratos didn't rip off Asurat's arm, because based off his expression, that's what he was going for. Sergei says they should just continue observing. Asurat comes in with another attack, which Kratos dodges again, but he's so confused, wondering what's happening and how every one of his movements are exactly the same as the game's. When he first met Asurat, he was absolutely taken aback, wondering if he was even possible to be defeated, because he's fast, throws in feints that are offbeat, and even has a wide range of attacks. But after dying, he was finally able to defeat him for the first time on his 128th attempt. And in the next 19 playthroughs, he was able to completely make a fool out of him by having a no-hit run. As Asurat screams, charging in, Kratos says that this actually is pretty good, because there's no way his attacks are going to hit him, since he knows what they are going to be beforehand, and he even begins laughing. Hardik and the rest start shaking with fear. As Kratos begins to mock and taunt Asurat, dodging his attacks as if he was playing with him, Hardik says that he's laughing at Asurat for being weak and enjoying himself, and that they knew something was wrong. And they knew this was too good to be true. Asurat grits his teeth, calling him a scumbag. And as Kratos dodges another attack, he says this is such a relief, but of course this doesn't mean he can defeat him, but he has realized something important. The world shares the same rules as the game. A status window then appears, telling him that he has realized the basic rule of this world, but calls him by his real name Jankiel. Kratos is surprised, saying that this is the message he frequently sees in webtoons, and it says that he has also succeeded at dodging his enemies' attacks with high concentration. As a reward, a part of the game system that is used by playable characters has been unlocked, and he now has acquired the targeting function. Kratos wonders what exactly this is, and he sees a little crosshair appear on a turret, and he says this is the targeting that's used when using special skills. So now he understands what exactly that means, as he scratches his hands once more. He throws his blood at him, yelling out the name of his ability. That cannot be sanitary. Bro should get tested after this one. As a turret gets absolutely blasted to piss by the lightning attack, the rest just look shocked because they thought he'd grown weaker. A turret drops to his knees, and the rest start cheering on Kratos from behind the screen. Kratos then starts glaring down at a turret, who's coughing after still recovering from the attack. Kratos can't believe that he's still alive after being hit by an attack that causes instant death, and that he's got great recovery, so he'll have his energy in no time. So he starts playing guitar on his wrist, hitting him over and over with the attack, and the rest mistake it as him purposely not using all of his power and just playing with him, but Kratos just wonders what the hell is going on, because he can't kill him, and what he can do about this. The status window says that he has torn off all of a turret's clothes, and now he is naked, and he wonders why it would even tell him this, saying that he's not a pervert. It then grants him a new system, which is the inventory's armor removal unlocked. Kratos wonders if there's going to be some kind of good armor in here, but all he sees is what he's currently wearing. He doesn't see anything that can be used. He says he has to get rid of a turret first, and he's not that strong, so he can't kill him, and his recoverability is greater than his damage output. He then realizes something, saying that since he's not dead, he can still target him, and he can also keep firing bloody strikes, but he can also use this chance to infuse the ground with tons of nitrogen. And he hits a Lloyd face, saying that he's the smartest, and he can tell that the rest of them are terrified now, and he decides to go ahead and test it out. He calls up to Sergei, and she asks what he wants. He tells her to tie up a turret tightly. She blushes, saying that if he wants her to tie up a pretty much naked dude, and she mistakes it as him wanting to humiliate the both of them. But of course, it's a multi-step plan. The first step is to prepare the lightning rod, which is a turret. R.I.P. bro. As the colors start to return back to his face, he yells, saying that he has completely recovered, and that he's indeed gotten weaker. Since he can't kill him with bloody strike, so he'll definitely get out of this and cut his head off. And this is where step 2 comes in, which is just bloody strike over and over and over. With this, he can oxidize the nitrogen in the air into nitrate, and he tells Hardik that he wants him to cover this whole area with fog, and it has to be so thick that water will be flowing. Hardik starts to mistake it, asking if he intends to make this whole place wet so he can make the lightning more painful, and that this sure is a creative way of torture. And he's learned something new today, as he puts his arms to his shoulders to prepare casting his spell. He does exactly that. As the fog begins to envelop the area, so does the rain it forms. And then step 4 is a strike and repeat over and over. As Kratos is zapping him, he says this shit hurts, but Zephyrus just watches, completely straight-faced. The rest though look on in horror at the sight of this madman, and even Asurat looks horrified, because bro is making an evil-ass face, saying with this, he can make the land here perfect for farming, and he can get some bountiful harvest. And that he's getting excited. So he continues zapping away at Asurat, over and over and over, until he felt satisfied enough with the land. As he picks up some of the dirt, he says this is good, he just needs to keep infusing nitrogen using this method. And next, he'll be improving the soil. Here's another chemistry lesson. He explains that this loose, monovalent structured soil neither allows oxygen to enter nor drains water well. And for farming, crumbly, granular structured soil is ideal, which is why the thing he has to create now is none other than menorah. And he tells them all to get him some shit. And he means that literally. They all sit there, confused about the situation, soaked in blood and rain, saying that there's no way after making an example out of Asurat and grilling him, he wants to smear him with shit. That's just unbelievably cruel. Back to the other side of the world, Kimchi is walking through a forest as somebody begs for help. He peeks over a bush, seeing a couple people. He wonders what he's looking at. But to the rest of us educated folks, we see it's none other than the Temu version of Lloyd Frontera and Javier, because this is made by the same guy if you didn't know. As they beg him for help, they look up at his outfit. As he stares at them, they start making horrified faces. And he tells them not to worry, as he's not suspicious, but they say they can't believe that because he looks horrifying. Kimchi asks them if they hurt their leg, and then picks up the Temu version of Javier as he starts screaming. And he tells the Temu Lloyd to lead the way. They then start introducing themselves, and it's literally just Javier and Lloyd spelled backwards. Javier asks Kimchi if he may know who he is, and Kimchi says starting from now on, that's what he needs to find out. Back to the demon world. Inside the castle, the other three great generals are sitting down at their tables. Hardik asks how exactly they're supposed to just bring poop, and if they had to just do it on the spot or something. Sergei is biting her nails, saying this is crazy and is pretty damn gross. Bale says it's been a while since he last ate, so he cannot poop. And that Sergei doesn't poop either. She tells him to stop talking about it like that. And Hardik says that even if they can, he doesn't want to supply him with his. And they should go beat up the low-ranking demons and make them start doing it instead. It then jumps to a village on the outskirts. And a man is begging that they let him go, saying that he can't go if they're all watching him and to go wait outside because he's a shy pooper. One of the demons says that the other said the same thing. But before he can finish his sentence, Hardik asks what's taking so long and if he can't provide them, no matter how hard he tries. The dude says that he hasn't eaten in a while, so he has nothing to really let out. Hardik grabs him by the throat, saying that he just got a really good idea, thanks to him. As he reaches forward with his attack, the man starts screaming. But before he dies, we see Bale actually reach out, stopping Hardik from killing him. Hardik asks what it is. Bale says that if he kills him, that means that he'll die and there will be no poop. And since that's what they need, he can't kill them because they have to produce it. But he speaks like a really slow guy. Hardik says that's pretty smart considering it's coming from him, and that if he feeds them with his meat, maybe they'll start defecating. He begins glaring up at Bale. But Bale is totally about that life and he glares back. Well, poor guy is just getting caught in the crossfires. As they start to attack one another, Kratos yells, asking what the hell they are doing out here. And tells them that it's not just humans and demons who shit. Then it jumps back to the castle. He tells them there's no use for feces that have no nutritional value. And they need to look for feces that can be used for manure. Zephyrus asks what that is. Kratos tells him that it's the ingredient that provides the fuel of nutrients. Normally it is made with wood and ashes, weeds, soil, eggshells, and chicken shit. For wood and ashes and weeds, they can just use those empty houses he saw before. The problem is the eggshells and chicken shit. He then comes up with something. He tells Zephyrus to bring him the map of the land. Zephyrus says okay and does exactly that. Kratos starts looking at it, saying that, as expected, it's the exact same one from the game. Which means he should be able to find them once he gets to this place. And that it is the habitat of the demon seagulls. In the game, there are plenty of them all over the field. This indicates that the seagulls can ingest a great deal of nutrients from the human's land, and then they poop and lay eggs. So that makes it the perfect place. Zephyrus asks if he's intending to collect the feces of the demon seagulls. Kratos says he's pretty quick to catch on. And Zephyrus tells him that the place is called the cliff from which one cannot return. And there are no stable holds, so if he falls, he'll get caught up in the rough waves. Kratos says he knows this much because that place is not systematically available for players to reach. But he knows damn well he can climb it. It then jumps to everybody there as he's about to show them he can do it. Hardik just wonders what he's thinking. Many have already challenged to hunt the seagulls from old times, but they end up falling prey to the waves. Kratos tells him that he'll climb to the top and throw down this bag that will contain feces and eggshells, and that they should make sure to catch it. And if this plan succeeds, everyone will be fed very well. Bale starts thinking about something, and it's none other than how scrawny and malnourished all of the villagers are. Bro's head might be empty, but he's just a wholesome guy. As the waves start crashing in, Kratos says that it was around his 13th playthrough, and he tried everything to get up there. It was hundreds of attempts, and he died over and over again in the process. As he leaps forward, the rest are all surprised that he's going head first into it. But Kratos knows damn well he can succeed because he's done it before. As he lands on the cliff, he says that he's actually going to abuse a glitch. As the cliff begins to crumble under his hands, the rest are surprised, thinking it's over. But he opens his equipment and instantly unequips everything. Thank God it's blurred out. They continue staring in absolute disbelief, as all that's left from the wall are Bro's bare cheeks. They can't believe what they are witnessing. Neither can I, the actual pro speedrunner strat. He then says that he needs to roll his body as he starts turning. Then Sergei closes her eyes and turns her head, screaming. On cue, Kratos equips all of his equipment. Thank God for that, because what a view. She starts to realize what she's about to see, so she screams, only for him to unequip it all yet again and go back to cheeks out. And he starts repeating this process over and over, as he slowly starts to ascend up the top of the cliff, until he gets his hands on the top with the cheeks still exposed. He stands up with all of his equipment, saying that that shit was lightweight. In a world where the game system is shared without having an equipment inventory, and an edge of the map that no one can ever reach, and he put all these facts together, he experimented and was convinced that it was possible. As we see him testing it in his bedroom, still cheeks out. Bale says that since His Majesty said he will feed them all, he will go up and help him. Zephyrus tries to warn him that place is dangerous, but Bale runs forward anyways. Kratos turns, and Bale reaches for the cliff, saying that he will follow His Majesty. But Kratos yells, asking what the hell he's doing. As he grabs onto the cliff, it of course crumbles underneath. Kratos stretches his hand out, grabbing balls. Of course Bro is straight naked in the cliff, and he wonders why the hell this dude is so heavy, saying that his arm is going to be ripped off. He wonders why he's trying to save this guy, since he's one of the 4 demon generals, which are a threat to him, and that he'd be better off gone. He tells Bale he has no reason to help him. And while he's still debating on what to do, he recalls back when one of his friends begged him for help, as the professor was not letting him submit his essay because he wanted to use him as a work slave forever, asking if he could talk to him in his stead, that way he can at least look at his friend's essay. His friend's logic was that since the professors loved Jankiel the best, they might listen to him. Jankiel explains that he was a junior who followed him around, since he was the #1 slave, maybe the professor might listen. But he was scared that he might fall out of favor, and he told his friend that was none of his business, and left him there crying. Jankiel says that maybe he might have actually been able to help that guy, as he tightens his grip on Ball's hand. He says if he just tried a little more, and if he squeezed everything he had and actually tried to go to his absolute limits, his friend's face might have been smiling in his memory instead. Kratos lets out a primal scream, as he starts swinging Bale upwards to the point that we hear the bones in his arm crunching. But he doesn't care, as he continues, and even actually manages to raise him over his head, throwing him atop the cliff. Bale lands, and Kratos makes it back up by equipping his armor. Bale says that he can't believe he saved him at the cost of getting hurt, and he had no reason to do that, asking why. Kratos is still catching his breath, but says that's because this hurts less than abandoning his follower, and he didn't want to end up regretting it. Bale starts to shake and even tear up, and of course he just wants to make up for what he couldn't do in his past life. He regrets that a lot even to this day. A system window then appears, saying even in a state where he is not fully adapted to the body he's in, he poured all of his strength, and as a result, he has earned the gratitude of Bale. In honor of his achievement, a system is established where providing his army with a sense of abundant happiness earns him a great amount of points. Kratos says that the game system would never use the word great lightly, and that it's called the Happy Point HP accumulation system. Kratos says he recognizes the name Happy Point and that it's an item that gives him discounts for ice cream, wondering if there's a place that sells it here in this world. The status window then says no, asking what kind of game world would sell ice cream, but he just can't believe it's actually sentient and he can converse with it. The status window tells him that for each soldier in the demon army that feels happy from a full stomach, he will gain 1 happy point, and he can use these points to purchase stats. He is only currently able to use 20% of his actual strength, and he should try to increase all 5 stats and attain 100% of his power. Kratos decides to see how much it would cost to get 10% stamina, and it says that he would need at least 50 points, and he realizes that's expensive. It also tells him that he can use them to purchase skill enhancements, and he would need 250 points for his bloody strike to upgrade. Kratos says he can't do anything yet, but if he were to successfully farm, then he would definitely gather quite a lot of it, and he'll then become super strong and increase his rate of survival. There's also the feeling he just got from helping Bale. To be thanked by somebody sure does feel pretty good. And of course he hits a Lloyd face. Bale says that his face tells him that he'll rip him apart immediately if he doesn't listen to what he says, since he owes him his life now, and that he doesn't think he saved him out of good faith. Kratos then yells, telling the rest to get ready as he's put shit into this eggshell, and he's about to throw it, and they should make sure to catch it. They look surprised as he yeets it straight off the cliff, covering every one of them in actual dookie. Kratos decides that he wants to go ahead and give farming everything that he has. The first step to making manure is to get all the ingredients together, and then grind it and mix it well. He tells Sergei to crush and grind all of it in front of him. She asks if he really wants her to do it, and he reminds her that she has extra arms, so she should be the one to do it. She says that she is the cold monarch, and her arms aren't meant for doing things like mixing shit. Then she starts screaming. Kratos asks if that's really the case, saying that he'll give her an easier task then, and she just needs to do the exact same thing as a Surit, saying surely she can do that. She instantly starts mixing it together, realizing she has no choice, and we see her crying while Kratos says he got scared for a second there, and that since all of the demon generals are hot-tempered, he can't let his guard down. But in the end, he's the demon lord, and he'll push on with guts and force. The second step of making manure is to add water. Kratos then tells Hardik that he wants him to fill the air with fog again. Hardik tells him that the stench is going to become even harder to bear because of the moisture, asking why he would do that. All Kratos has to do is point at a Surit being strung up, and he too folded instantly, doing exactly that. Kratos asks Bale if the moisture is enough, and Bale says that it's soft after being baked and soaked with water just as he said it would be. Kratos says the third step is to place it in a dry place and cover it with a blanket made of seagull feathers. But even just making a little bit would take an extremely long time, and in order to make manure to cover this vast piece of land, he has no choice but to mobilize all the demons. And there's something that bothers him, but it has to be done now, and he'll push ahead with the authority of the demon lord. Somewhere else in the demon realm, back at the village, we see a guy sitting by his daughter's bed. She calls out to him and asks what's wrong, and we learn that her name is Flute. Flute begs that her father eat her, and he says that he told her not to say something like that. She begins to cry, saying that she misses her mother, and he starts to feel pain recalling it. We see a giant demon crawling towards Flute as she was on the ground, terrified, and as it went to eat her, her mother stood in front of her, stretching her arms out. Flute was surprised by this, but her mother realized it was her duty and then got eaten right in front of her eyes. Her father says that if she isn't here, he would have no reason for him to continue living on for. His door then gets kicked open, and he turns, seeing Kratos enter the room. Kratos says that since he still has the strength to shout, they should take this one too. He starts to beg with him, asking about his daughter Flute, saying that if he leaves her like this, the higher-ranked demons will eat her. She screams as Bale grabs her father, taking him out, and Kratos asks how many they have so far. Zephyrus tells him that they have 20 at the moment, but they still need 30. Kratos glances back once more, seeing Flute crying, and recalls that she was an enemy in the game called the Girl Demon, and he, with zero hesitation, cut her down, because of course it was just a game. But seeing her crying face now, he turns, realizing that this is bad, and says that he is now going to stop all illegal acts of eating their own kind, and he wants Zephyrus to gather the remaining demons, as everyone is going to be forced to make manure now. He is the demon lord after all, and tyranny of this level is alright for him to achieve his goal. The role of a leader is to bear some sacrifices. We then see Flute's father hammering away, crushing up his pile. He asks why they have been wasting their strength on this for a few days, and farming sounds so ridiculous. We learn that his name is Dyrick, and his friend tells him to shut up, because he'll lose his head if the demon lord hears him. Dyrick says they're going to die anyway, and even if the land does become fertile, they have nothing to plant in the first place. Kratos asks if he's really that curious about what will go here. Dyrick, terrified, drops his club. Kratos only asks that he follow him, and he explains that on that day, the purple flower that he saw briefly is something very important, because it is an item that can be planted. As he shows Dyrick this, Dyrick asks if this is it. Kratos says that they'll plant this flower's roots, and that Bale and some of the farming squad have already dug it up from various places. Dyrick says that the roots of this plant can be eaten, and when consumed, it's something that inflicts extreme abdominal pain and can kill them. Kratos says that other than this, there's nothing that can be eaten, and the experiment to test if this can be eaten or not should be concluded about now. Direk asks what he means, and Kratos says that it is exactly what it sounds like, and he means right now, and he glares, telling Direk that his daughter is eating this as they speak. Direk's heart starts to sink, and he runs, screaming no, asking why they're doing this to his innocent daughter, and he hopes that she's not eating it. He barges into his house, telling Flute not to eat it, only to see Baal and Zephyrus inside, and he prepares himself for the worst, but she says that even though she ate it, she doesn't feel any pain, and she's actually full. He begins shaking, asking if she's really alright, and she says yes, and that they also fed it to her yesterday, and she doesn't feel anything bad. Kratos asks if he now believes him, saying a long time ago, humans of a certain land also made that poisonous plant edible. They cultivated it and were able to resolve their hunger issues, and that's known as the potato. What a hero. Flute says that she can't believe he's showing such kindness to lowly demons like themselves, and she's so thankful for him. The status window tells Kratos that a part of his demon army feels happy from eating, and he has received HP for the first time, and now he has won. Kratos is looking at this pop-up, and we even see Flute smiling. He starts to think about something, and how when she was in the game she looked like she was in an awful spot, and that it is incomparable to how she's acting now. And he starts to smile, that just because he's the demon lord, doesn't mean he always has to look so serious. He says that a brat like herself just has to eat her fill and grow up tall, and of course, him trying to look nice just looks menacing, and the rest think that he's just trying to plump her up to eat her, and that he really is evil. But of course, this is the real expression he was trying to make.